Hello and welcome to episode 339 of Sutton Impact Family Style. I'm Jason.
I'm Bill, and I got to say, I think that the 49ers have distanced themselves from the rest of the NFL. I think they are absolutely the most dominant team on both sides of the ball and special teams, and especially on the coaching staff.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to tell you that I think that the Dolphins' record for the undefeated is in jeopardy this year.
It does get harder, though, because I know the Eagles are technically 5-0 as well, so we have to give them some respect.
Yeah, but I don't think they're in the same league as this.
No. But it's hard to imagine they're going to need to go 17-0 now in the regular season to tie the Dolphins' 17-0 record for the entire series. I mean, it seems less and less likely. As they continue to expand the season, that record seems more and more unlikely.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, no question about it. But if anybody could do it this year, this then. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't see a weakness.
No.
Unless, the only thing that could stop them, I think, is injuries.
Yeah, I'm still surprised McCaffrey is getting as much carries as he is right now. Because Elijah Mitchell and that other kid they have on there are perfectly competent, especially in this 49ers offense. And it feels like he should be the sports car you bring out on sunny Sundays. You don't take out in the rain.
Yeah, you shouldn't play him after you don't need him. But, I mean, they dominated that game last night.
Yeah. And
I didn't hear Jerry Jones' comments yet that I'm sure we're going to hear today or tomorrow. But, I mean, wow, that was a butt kicking.
And they are really deep on the defensive line. And you have Bosa and Hargrave and everybody else. You got Fred Warner and Greenlaw at linebacker. Just like you said, they don't have a weakness.
No, and they coached really, really well, and they schemed really well on both sides. I mean, I've not seen it dominate. I did not expect that at all.
No, 42-10 in case you weren't paying attention. Dak Prescott completed 14 passes, like 150 yards, and threw 3 interceptions, and some bad interceptions too.
And I was expecting something like 2017 or 17-14, which is why I didn't play Brock Purdy as my quarterback.
Because
I thought it was going to be a very low-scoring game, so I didn't do that.
And we texted about it during the week, and I stupidly said play Cousins because like you, I was like, well, Dallas is going to show up defensively.
Yep.
But Micah Parsons, everybody's favorite defender, had no impact on that game.
None. I mean, that offensive line kept them away. Purdy's scheming is he executes extremely well. I mean, George Kittle get 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, he has the most RAM in memory of all the quarterbacks. It just processes so fast. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
He's smart. He knows where to get the ball. And whatever his limitations are as an athlete or as thrower, if you know where the ball is supposed to be and you're reading all the defenses and all the plays as quickly as he does, you make up for any lapse you have in, whatever you have that Josh Allen has that you don't have, kind of thing.
Well, I hate to say this, but he's Tom Brady 2.0.
He really, really is.
He really is. I mean, he's got a chip on his shoulder for being the last player in the draft. He's just unreal.
And every day that happens that he's playing better, people talk less and less about fellow Cowboy Trey Lance, who they gave up a bunch of picks and everything to go get because it seems like it didn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. And this guy's on a rookie contract, which, in a low rookie contract to say that. And they'll let you invest all that money in other places on that team, which really explains a lot as well.
Yeah. And again, you look across that, I mean, we talk about all the depth and the talent they have on that team. They don't miss on their draft picks.
No.
I don't know what the percentage is. I know I think the league average is whatever, at 60-something% of success rate. But I mean, they've got to be near the top, at least in those last 5
Well, they missed on Trey
years.
Lance, and that was a big miss.
It was a huge miss. But
they more than made up for it with the other ones.
And they're 5-0. The next Seahawks, who I think are off this week and play next week, are 3-1, and that's the next best team in their division. And they look great.
Yeah.
I mean, they just do.
Well, the Bengals looked good yesterday, too. The Bengals came back.
Yeah, in a big way. Joe Burrow looked like he was the Joe Burrow we've been expecting all year. And, they had that little massage gun in his calf every minute. He was on the sideline, but it didn't show. He was moving around. He was throwing the ball well. Jamar Chase, 15 receptions, 3 touchdowns. He is always effing open, as he said.
Yeah.
You like when people back it up. The
Yeah.
Bills, you want to talk about the London game, as you were mentioning off air?
Yeah. I think, as I said to Jason offline, I really think the NFL has kind of made a little bit of a mistake there, letting somebody stay there for 2 weeks. You're just so acclimated. You're so used to everything. It was a real advantage for Jacksonville.
It was. Because the Bills play, I mean, you could see they were sucking oxygen. They just seemed a little bit
They seemed like
sleepwalky.
they had just gotten off a flight within 48 hours.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the plan. Like, I know the plan is to continue having games in Germany and Ireland and London, and that's not going to stop because it's too much money, it's too much exposure, it's too much a chance to expand the game. But maybe you have to send 4 teams over there in the beginning of October. It's like a round robin, where
Yeah, that's a thought. That's a good thought.
Jags play Bills week 1, and whoever was in the other game, they play each other, and then they get the bye week after that, and then they go back. Because again, international travel, it's one thing to go somewhere and just try to get yourself up for a vacation where you're lying on the beach and eating a bunch of food. It's another thing to go prep for a game.
Yeah.
And yeah, and Jacksonville is London's unofficial team, so they've also done it for the last couple of years as well.
Yeah.
So it's somewhat unsurprising they're 2-0 in London.
Kansas City, Minnesota, no real surprise there.
No,
Although the Vikings are 1-4, it's a surprise. But there was no surprise that game ended the way it did.
now if you're one of these teams, like, I mean, the Jets won this week. Trying to think who else is really in this category.
Giants.
Yeah, like with Kirk Cousins being Kirk Cousins, if you're, the Falcons, let's say, who Desmond Ritter doesn't look like he's a very good quarterback, right?
Except he did yesterday.
Yesterday he looked really good. But I mean, what would you be willing to give up for Kirk Cousins, given what we've seen from Kirk Cousins throughout his career? Like, how big of an upgrade is Kirk Cousins over Zach Wilson, honestly? I mean,
In the right situation,
yeah.
you're not going to have to give up a lot because he's a free agent.
Presumably, yeah, about to be, yes.
So, I mean, you're going to give up something. If you're the Vikings, I'd definitely be shopping him now. I mean, you're not going anywhere, and you might as well start your rebuild right now because he's not going to be a quarterback next year. There's no way you're going to spend that kind of money. So that's definitely not going to happen.
No, but I was just looking around, and like you said, you have the Jets. I mean, I don't think the Giants at 1-4 are going to move off and try to get Kirk Cousins. I don't think that's really an upgrade for them. The Bears, I think, want to let Justin Fields, who had a nice game, and they got their first win this week, and has thrown 8 touchdowns in his last 2 games. But then you look around, and it's like Carolina's not going to trade for him. New Orleans seems Derek Carr is certainly equal. I think Arizona is very fine with, I feel like if you're not doing well, you're fine waiting for Caleb Williams, Drake May, etc., and doing badly.
If you're playing really bad, unless the only team that makes sense to me is the Jets.
Yeah,
because you spent all kind of money, and this is your window.
But what I'm worried about
is
a
quarterback next year. I mean, it's a question of what can you do to to stay under the cap because you're already at the cap.
Yeah, and Rodgers said he's coming back next year. You gave up a bunch of assets to get Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Again, if you could give up a 3 or a 4, maybe, I guess.
I would.
But at the same time, if I'm the Jets, I'm also looking at the Dolphins, the Bills, the Chiefs. I'm certainly looking at the Eagles and obviously the 49ers. And I'm wondering, no matter how good my team is, does the addition of Kirk Cousins make me an actual contender? And if not,
I don't know. I think the addition of Kirk Cousins with the way Breece Hall played yesterday.
Yeah, Breece Hall was a beast.
He was a beast. I mean, that's what I'm saying. So now, I don't know. It still makes sense to me. I said it about a month ago, and I'll still say it. And I said it when Rodgers got hurt. That made sense to me. Because, again, it's you're buying something at a discounted rate because the Vikings aren't going to sign him. They're not going anywhere. So, I mean, he should be available.
He should be.
And like
And
I said, the downside is then you ruin Zach Wilson. Then you got to trade Zach Wilson because you've absolutely ruined him. And maybe you send him to the Vikings. I don't know.
I think you'd have to.
Yeah.
If there was some kind of like one of those weird picks where it's like, we'll get Kirk Cousins and you can have our 5th round pick, and you can have Zach Wilson, we'll take your 6th round pick. And Zach Wilson can fire balls to Justin Jefferson when he gets healthy. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. We'll see.
Well, I was looking because they were talking this morning that, Kyler might be out in Arizona, so he might be available. Dak Prescott, who has looked pretty shaky for the most part, right? When's the last time Dak has looked like he's scheduled to make $60 million next year in the last year of his contract, which is a lot of not guaranteed money.
And he's not going to make it in Dallas.
He's not going to make it in Dallas. That. Kirk Cousins is going to be gone. But, when you look at this quarterback draft class, but, you look at the AFC East, you feel like the Dolphins and Bills are pretty set, but the Jets and the Patriots, and even the Jets, even if Rodgers comes back, you might be looking quarterback if the right situation came, right?
Right.
I think, we'll talk about our favorite team in a few seconds, but I think if you're the Browns and the Steelers, you wouldn't say no to a new quarterback. I think the Titans would definitely take a quarterback.
Well, the Browns are stuck because they're paying him guaranteed money.
Right, but I'm saying if you get another one on a rookie contract and he continues to play this poorly, I think you might jump on him. Obviously, the Raiders, the Broncos, who again, like you said, they're stuck with, Russell Wilson, but they seem to hate him. That means you got
the Broncos. The Broncos are desperate. I think that strikes me as desperate. That's a bad marriage. I watched the machinations on the sideline yesterday with Coach. It just didn't look good. It doesn't look good.
No.
Doesn't look like it was a good coaching hire either. I mean, it looks like he made a bad decision and they made a bad decision.
Very bad. And they gave up a 1st round pick to get him. You gave up 3 first round picks to get Russell Wilson. Like, you're the Broncos. That might be one of the worst situations. I mean, Denver's a beautiful city, but that's a bad situation to be sitting in right now. And then you go to the NFC. Like we talked about, Dallas, Washington, and the Giants could all look for quarterbacks. The Bears and Vikings. I think if you're the Falcons, you're probably looking, right?
Don't know. I mean, like I said, he played well yesterday.
Yeah. The Cardinals seem to be on the looking. I think if you're the Rams, you're probably looking. I think Seattle, even though you like Geno, he's not a young chicken. So you're coming out next year. You got a good market. There's like at least 4 or 5 really good quarterbacks. Yeah.
Although Sam Hartman's stock is dropping rapidly.
Which we'll get to in a little bit.
Yes. Well, let's talk about our Steelers, who snatched victory from the jaws of defeat.
With a little help from the Ravens.
With a lot of help from the Ravens. There's no way the Steelers should have won that game. There's no way the Steelers should be 3-2 and tied for first place in that division. There's no way.
No, they've been Tebowing this whole season. Tebow was my ridiculous win guy when he played in the NFL. But the Ravens dropped 7 passes officially yesterday as a stat. They had 5 on the season. A couple
in the end zone.
Yeah, they dropped 2 in the end zone. Another one that would have been a touchdown. And then a weird play where Zay Flowers was 6 yards behind the defense. It was probably a bad throw, but could have been a touchdown too.
No, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, they could have lost by 20 points yesterday.
And yet somehow they won 17-10.
What really blows me away is, and I said this in a text to you this morning, I said, you realize they didn't have a field goal attempt in the second half.
They didn't have a red zone appearance until the 4th quarter.
No, the Steelers, but I'm talking about the Ravens didn't have a field goal attempt.
I know.
They had nothing after the first. Really, was it 10-0 after the first quarter or 10? Yeah.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
An unbelievable game. The Steelers went obviously 7 consecutive quarters without scoring a touchdown. They scored 5 offensive touchdowns this year, and 3 of them have been on long plays. The 75-yarder to Calvin Johnson, the 75-yarder to Pickens, and then this 40-yarder to Pickens. I don't know what to think. You see some stuff every week that you love, right? Jaylen Warren looks fantastic. People are comparing him to Maurice Jones-Drew, the muscle hamster. And I see it.
That one play yesterday where he hurdled and got an extra 6 or 7 yards, that was incredible.
And the play before where he caught the ball and then beat the guy to the sideline and sped ahead on 3rd and long. Najee, I think, and everyone deals with this in business, and you deal this with as a teacher, when you're recommending people, like, there can be some really good people that just might not be good. You don't want to stake your reputation on the job, whereas Tomlin seems to be fine. Letting good people, people he likes, continue to be the people in charge. Whether you're talking about Canada or Terrell Austin, Najee Harris getting the majority of the carries. I'm sure they're all wonderful people. Najee especially seems like a great person. But Jaylen Warren just looks so much... It's not like... It doesn't seem like a thunder and lightning situation. Like, Jaylen Warren breaks just as many tackles.
And he looks like he just fits what that line is able to do better.
He does. He's more explosive. And again, he breaks a lot of tackles.
Yeah.
He makes guys miss. Like, he does the things, like... And not that Najee can't... I mean, obviously, anybody in the NFL is capable... I mean, you didn't get to the NFL if you weren't capable of making these sorts of plays. No matter how bad as a fan you think one player is, like, they made it to the NFL. That's incredible accomplishment. You're incredibly elite. And you're going to be able to do it from time to time because that's what you've done your entire life. But... if you're not one of the better players, you're not going to be doing it as frequently. And Najee just can't do it as frequently.
No.
And Kenny Pickett, and he's another one, I don't know. I mean, that's why I mentioned the Steelers, the team that would probably want another quarterback, but I don't,
Yeah, I don't know either.
Because he throws
enjoy it.
Yeah, he throws a nice ball. You had a weird game with Baltimore where they dropped 3 touchdowns. A game against Cleveland where you scored 2 defensive touchdowns. And there you beat the Raiders. And now you sit at 3-2, first place in the division, with wins over Baltimore and Cleveland.
And you get a bye week to get ready for the Rams.
Yeah. I don't know. That's my thought on the Steelers this week. I don't know.
I don't know. That sums it up. Well, let's talk about the Fighting Irish getting totally outfought by Louisville.
Yeah.
Getting whooped. I mean, it was a big game at Louisville. It was the largest attendance in Louisville history. They were ready for the game. It was a night game, and they kicked their ass.
Yeah. And Notre Dame needed that one.
Absolutely. I mean, Notre Dame's done now. Sam Hartman did not look good at all yesterday.
No.
And he had a really bad game at Louisville last year against Louisville. He played for Wake Forest. So I don't know if they knew something on that staff or whatever, but he just did not look good.
He did not.
Shedeur Sanders and Colorado beat a really bad Arizona State team. I mean, Arizona State could be the worst team in the Pac-12.
I think so.
But they won by, I think, 3. Then you had Arizona taking Southern Cal to 3 overtimes.
3 overtimes, yeah. Well, Southern Cal can't play defense, that's for sure.
They can't play any defense. They can score a lot of points.
Yeah.
But, and they play Notre Dame this week. And that should be interesting because the one thing Notre Dame can do is play defense.
Yeah, I do want to watch that. That looks like a fun game to watch because that's... Yeah. I mean, I feel like that could be, he's already the Heisman favorite by a lot, but that could be his, if he puts up those numbers there, then he should be able to cruise the rest of the year to the Heisman. And Caleb Williams.
Although Michael Penix is having a great year.
He is.
And that's a big game this week in Washington, Oregon. In Washington.
Yeah. 2 top 10 teams.
That's probably the best game of the weekend.
Yeah, 2 tops. Number 18, number 17 in the country. Head to head. And they both have scored almost the exact amount of points. Oregon seems to have the better defense, at least on paper. And you got 2...
I'm excited to see that one.
And
I'm going to be in Costa Rica, so I don't know if I'm going to get to see it or not.
That's true. And you have 2 quarterbacks that both have a very similar history, guys that were sort of highly thought of, kind of disappointed, and now they seem like they maybe have turned the corner.
Went to transfer portal and find a different place to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I guess, the biggest game of the weekend was probably the Red River game, right?
The Red River game, which was a really good game. Dylan Gabriel played really well for Oklahoma. despite having a lot of passes knocked down, because there's no way that guy's 5'11".
No, he's not.
There's no way. But he plays hard, and they played really well. Their defense played really good against Texas. But that's a good game usually every year, except last year wasn't. It was a blowout. But it's usually a war every year.
It is.
It's fun. It's a fun game to watch. I always enjoy it, and I always root for Texas.
I'm gonna go just because you reminded me of good games and great rivalries. Do you know when it was 10-8 in the Steeler game? Over the last 17 games, the Steelers and the Ravens had each scored exactly 709, or no, what is it? 79 points, whatever it was. They had scored the exact same number of points against each other for the last 17 games.
Yep.
That's an insane
and
stat.
In the franchise history, it was 790 to 792.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's always a war, and I'm happy the Steelers escaped physically.
Yeah.
It's usually a game where somebody on one of those two teams loses one or two guys for the rest of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk a little baseball.
I'll have to concede to you.
The surprising Orioles being down 2-0, that's a big surprise for me.
It was a rough week for Baltimore.
Very rough week for Baltimore. But being down 2-0, I mean, it's not a good draw either, playing the Astros.
No, it's not.
I'm sorry, they're playing the Rangers.
The Rangers, yeah.
But in the Rangers, I mean, and then the Astros and Twins are 1-1. That's a good series. The Diamondbacks pummeled Clayton Kershaw in the very first inning.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that series is going to go, but I mean, I feel really bad for Clayton Kershaw. I mean, his playoff record is terrible, and you got to think that it's in his head when he walks out there, because he gave up 6 runs in the first inning and got pulled.
Yeah,
didn't get out of the first inning.
He is the James Harden of baseball.
You got to wonder. I mean, it's got to be in his head.
Yeah, he's James Harden.
And then the Braves don't get shut out all year and get shut out in the first game at home against Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So those 2 games tonight are interesting. The Aces and the Liberty, the Aces come out 1-0, and I thought the finals were 7, but it's best of 5, so it's 1-0 Aces, and they're both really good teams. I don't know. I think the Aces are going to win.
Okay.
Hockey debuts this week, Tuesday night, triple header on ESPN.
And if you're an older person, you should root for the Penguins because they have maybe the oldest team ever.
And they're playing Connor Bedard and the Blackhawks in the opening game.
Yes, they are.
So that's an interesting game. And you also have the Kraken playing the Vegas Golden Knights in the nightcap. So some real interesting games. I want to take a couple minutes to talk about an article I just wrote for my Sport Business Journal.
Please do.
Yeah, and I talk about what I think the time is now for the Super Conference.
Oh, now?
I think it's right now, and I think here's why. I'll just kind of tease it out a little bit. It will come out 2 weeks from today, and it'll be on my social media. But look at all the problems we have right now. Everybody's making a big deal about the geography. Hey, if you get a chance at Super Conference, you make 4 geographic divisions.
Yeah,
you don't worry about the conference, so you can realign the whole thing, take care of all the other sports. All right. What's the other big problem? It's the inequality in the money that the conferences are getting, and then therefore that the schools are getting. So there's dissatisfaction there. If there's a super conference, all the deal is with the super conference, not with the individual divisions. So you can you can guarantee every team $50 million. So not every team's going to get a different amount of money, not every conference, and then you're not going to have the conferences battling the networks for a contract, because it's just one. It's like the NFL. It's one entity negotiating with a variety of different media outlets and then pulling the money and everybody's splitting it. So those are just a couple of my reasons. So the column will be out. We can actually discuss it on the air when it comes out.
Perfect. And I guess the other point is, it's going to happen.
It's going to happen, and I just think it should happen. I just think it would solve a lot of problems if it happened now.
And I think, some of the problems they have now too, I mean, just from a fan standpoint, is like you're losing these, traditional rivalries, things people got excited about.
Hmm.
And if you're just slowly going to build new ones, and then those are eventually going to be torn apart again by a super conference, like let's just hop right in and get the new system going and just go with it. It makes sense.
And with the super conference, they all go back.
Yeah, and then you get the
They all
good
go back
rivalries.
because it's all geographic.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, we'll see. You got an entertainment or food?
I have an entertainment that I don't know if our audience will care about, but I'll talk about it anyway.
Okay.
Donovan.
All
Piece of
right.
shit. Um, he's got a lot of good songs that really fit the spooky season, I would say. Um, and the other thing is, that's an underappreciated person that I don't think I've heard a lot about growing up, but he has some really incredible songs. So
Yeah, I love Donovan.
he's got a really cool, unique voice and some really wacky songs like Ricky Tiki Tavi about a
Yeah.
mongoose. Season of the Witch, which is played in a lot of horror movies and TV shows this time of year, just because
Yep.
it's got a cool vibe to it, and it's somebody I never really even when you would introduce me to like different classic rock people over the year, just never really clicked, but now it's clicked.
Well, I like Atlantis is probably my favorite song. I like story songs, and that's a story song.
Yeah,
But he's like a folk singer. He's just interesting.
very.
He's from Wales. It doesn't get a lot of like, but I've always liked Donovan.
Yeah, I just
And
think
like you said, Season of the Witch and some other songs. But then he's got some Jennifer Juniper, some different songs too.
he does. And again, he's like one of those artists that much like other people we've talked about over the years, like you've heard him even if you don't know you've heard him.
That's exactly right.
Because, like I said, if you've watched any network television show that has any kind of a spooky episode, Season of the Witch has probably been played in that song, in that show.
You're probably right.
And it's been made a lot of horror movies and things along those lines. And it is spooky season, and we are watching our alphabet. To make it easy on us in our house, we just pick a different letter of the alphabet and watch based on that each night. So tonight is I, and we're going to watch It, Chapter 1.
Ah,
But last night we watched the new Disney's Haunted Mansion.
and
If you're looking for a fun family, anybody in your family could watch scary movie. Let's just put scary in quotes. It's really well done. It's very Lakeith Stanfield is the star. Danny DeVito's in it. Owen Wilson's in it. Tiffany Haddish. Danny DeVito. I don't know if I said him already, but so you got a lot of fun people battling ghosts in a house.
one of my favorite spooky movies is this time of year.
What's that?
Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Ooh, that is a good one.
Yeah, Ray Bradbury novel, and I've read it, and I loved the novel, and I just really liked the movie. It just, again, it's something everybody could watch.
Yeah. And Haunted Mansion is filmed here in New Orleans, and they really showcase a lot of New Orleans as well. So
Yeah,
that's fun too. But yeah, that
I
was
have a gold belly moment.
Oh, okay.
I ordered pies from Montana,
Okay.
little hand pies.
Oh, I like ham pies.
Yes, and they were huckleberry blueberry from L's Bells in Montana, and we got 6 pies, and we froze 2. We ate 4, and they were tremendous.
Are they fried or baked?
They're almost like a crispy glazed donut with fruit filling,
Okay, yeah.
but they were really, really good.
That sounds excellent, yeah. We have a
They were
rivalry down here between, I'm going to forget, I always forget the real name, but there's Haydell's and Redonzo's, and there's another group that everybody loves that all make the little hand pies that are like the Hostess ones.
Yep, it's exactly. These were. They had a nice glazed drip on them. They were nice.
And then people argue as to which one is the best down here.
Yeah.
And people are going to kill me because I can't remember the name of the famous one that just came back. But as a non-New Orleanian who had no affiliation to any of the three, I can't really tell the difference. They're all delicious. So I'll just throw that out there right off the bat, especially the lemon, which is my favorite. But yeah, I don't know which one is, they're all sort of,
Cool.
yeah. You can't go wrong with a good ham pie.
No, not at all. I have no desire to watch the Packers and Raiders tonight, especially because I don't have any fantasy points go up for grabs tonight, so I don't care at all.
I do, and I don't care because I'm actually winning by a lot this week. So, not that people care about my fantasy team, but I'm doing pretty well this week.
Yeah, I won by .36, but only because the guy was playing left 3 guys on his bench that scored almost 100 points.
Yeah, that's.
So that I lucked out.
I would say you did.
Okay, and I won't be on next week. Fred will be on, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be in Costa Rica, and I'll give a report on that when I get back.
And you can hear a very sad New England Patriot fan. So, that's kind of fun for the rest of the country to hear from time to time.
Is he still a Patriots fan after yesterday?
I think so. I mean, if you lived up there and you were a fan your entire life and you had 20 years of Tom Brady, I think you got a pretty big cushion of window to, you can be upset with what's happening.
Kind of like the way we are with the Steelers 6 Super Bowls. Yeah.
And again, I always tell people, I'm like, 6 Super Bowls, and I'm like, the 2 that I remember most of my lifetime, not only did I see them, I saw them live. So,
yeah,
it's,
And those are the only 2 I ever went to live, so, I mean, yeah, those were good. Those were 2 of the best Super Bowls.
Yeah, and then the one Super Bowl, the Cardinal one in Tampa Bay, was maybe one of the best Super Bowls of all time.
I would say so.
And arguably, I think it's always in the list of top 5, 2 of the greatest plays in Super Bowl history, both by our favorite team. So,
that was a good one.
Yeah, it's a great one.
All right, everybody, we'll watch some baseball. Watch some football. A couple good matchups that we talked about: Southern Cal, Notre Dame, and Oregon, Washington. You get another game in England next week. You got, or is it Germany? Where is it?
I think it's Germany next week.
Okay. And get the Ravens and the Titans is who we have.
That'll be interesting. See if the Ravens bounce back or...
As long as a bunch of the Raven players didn't jump off a bridge after the way they played.
Yeah.
But we'll take 3-2 and go into the bye week and be happy.
I suppose we will. With Matt Canada stuck forever.
Yes. Or at least till January.
Yes.
All right, everybody, have a good week.
Bye.